Today is the 12th. It's Monday, March 12th.
Monday, March 12th.
Right on.
Coming to you live from St. Robert, Missouri.
Woo!
The Quality Inn in St. Robert, Missouri.
I think that's the first time those words have ever been said in a sentence.
Coming to you live from St. Robert,
Missouri. Yep.
I think that's where we are. We're west of Rolla.
We're right by Uranus.
I prefer the term Uranus.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're an adult.
So, folks, friends, last night we were driving into the halfway point between Springfield, Illinois, and Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is where our gig is tonight. And we kept passing these signs that were talking about Uranus, Missouri, but it was the Fudge Factory is like their claim to fame.
If you want to call it that.
And it says, the best fudge in the universe is found in Uranus, Missouri. So I'm not going to be blue here.
Oh, using a dupe term.
I've always used that.
Really?
Yeah, I've always used the term.
I've never heard you say it before.
I've used it.
Mm-hmm.
I've used it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Blue humor
Uh-huh.
means when there are gentlemen present, the ladies should not be saying blue things.
Oh, really?
Because you're just like, oh, there's gentlemen present and they can't handle it.
Mm.
And their delicate sensibilities can't handle any type of risque humor.
Men are a delicate flower.
They are.
Yes.
You're so sensitive.
You so sensitive. Who dis? Yeah.
All right, so this is our first podcast, a little bit delayed because of, I don't know if you've ever been on tour before, but the things that we're managing are our tour management, which means that we have to like get ourselves fed and sleep places and find places to sleep, and then in addition to that, make sure that the tour vehicle is in good shape, tire pressure, gasoline,
Rearview mirrors.
Rearview mirrors are adjusted properly for each driver's unique needs.
There's always the optimum packing.
We have to pack the gear, unpack it for gigs. Then you gotta, feed the musicians, make sure that there's healthy food options available. And
that's tough.
Finding some time to exercise and hang out with all the people that we've been seeing on the road, and then also the social media management, which I've been trying to do on the road.
You've been really good at that. I've just been liking whatever it is you put. Like, done.
So we've been trying to Facebook Live all the shows, or at least portions of them, and also just keep people aware of the reality of it. So on Tuesday night, the first night of the gig, the first night of the tour, we made $25 each. Wednesday night we made $28 each. Thursday night we made $44 each. Mm-hmm. Friday at Sweetwater, which was awesome.
Yep.
We split a $75 payday and sold some CDs, which is cool. And then Saturday we did pretty well because we made $182 each at our house concert. So, not bad for a week's wages, but we had absolutely not done it without our supporters on the Why Aren't You Famous tour GoFundMe page. So thank you to all of you guys who supported the tour so far. We're going to leave it up till March 25th now. If you want to help us fund this thing. Yep,
and it's been a lot of fun on the road. We've had some good shows. We had some good performances as well, and feel pretty strong about all that.
It's like I feel like I'm in an Andrew Grimm master class. So I'm like, because I'm sitting close to you, and I'm like watching your fingers play guitar and singing, and we're both being helpfully critical. Mm-hmm. Not criticism, but critique of each other's songwriting and songs and performance, and it's good. Like I don't know. We have a lot of time together.
We do. We're traveling in my 2015 Honda Fit. It is very close quarters. There's not much room to move. So there's alone time is nap time. But I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that about the Andrew Grimm Masterclass.
And I have a topic I wanted us to talk about today, since we are not writing essays and we are just simply recording this live for a little while today.
Okay, so your topic is ready. Well, let me just tit for tat.
Okay.
On that.
Tit.
Okay, Uranus.
Anyway, go ahead.
I hope you're satisfied.
I am. The 12-year-old boy in me just let a little wee tit.
Wee. The 12-year-old Ralph Macchio.
Yes, Ralph. Cheers to him.
Here's him. Clink.
Dink. With coffee. Oh, shit. Yeah. Okay. Oops.
Oh, what? You're worried about saying shit? We've said worse.
I'm sure I have.
You have. I try to be conservative with my language. You, however, screaming liberal. It's very nice.
Fuck it!
What? So as much as it's a masterclass and Andrew Grimm, kind of making it up as he goes, it's also like being able to the cool thing about doing this tour is being able to watch each other perform and see what's going on with how you were playing 13 years ago on our first tour.
Our first tour, 2005.
In March of 2005.
Man.
And you see I think I had said it the other night. We were in another conversation about what we've learned from each other, and the one thing that I've seen with your playing is that the patience or the restraint on certain things. Like you're very measured in how you present a song, and it's very controlled and very deliberate. And I think I watch that, and I also think about your voice as well, and how it's not. Your voice is so strong, and this doesn't sound like a nice thing to say. It's so consistent, but it's very. I go back to that word measured. It's like you enunciate, but it also seems it's very natural at the same time. So it's always fun to watch that.
Thank you.
When that happens.
I was gonna deflect and be self-deprecating and be like, Rolling Stone, Ellen Cherry's voice is reliable. With her reliable voice.
With her reliable voice. Yeah. I mean, it could be the
Ellen Cherry's new album is reliable.
Reliable. It's consistently consistent. Yeah.
No, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
We're learning lots, folks. And the thing that I do want to say is, I want to say many things, and we have some time, is that one of the reasons I go out on the road is to be reminded how many wonderful people are out in America doing their thing.
Oh, yeah.
So we have been hosted and had shows set up by Brian McQuaid in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. And he didn't even play. He stayed for the whole show.
Yeah, he ran the door.
He ran the door. He housed us. He
fed us
late night. Us. He cooked us a delicious meal late at night, which is a very hard thing to find after midnight. He fed us this wonderful pasta spinach dish. And
ladies, he's single.
Yes, and he has a job and a house, and he's a guitar player and writes good songs, and he's a good-looking guy, and I could go on and on. Brian McQuaid. Bryan, no E. He's wonderful. Hello, Brian. I'm so glad to have met him. The second night in Cleveland, we hooked up with our friend Matt Monta, who lives in Columbus, but we also met Jason
Myers.
Myers.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Mosley?
No, it's Myers. I have his card right here. Jason Patrick Myers.
Acoustic
troubadour, teacher, host of Neo Rocks on WJCU 88.7 FM.
You should be in radio. You have a radio voice.
I keep hearing that. I might try to do some voiceover work.
You should, man. We should give up songwriting and both do voiceover work, except my voice is like this.
I don't know why my auditions don't go well, or they always keep casting me for disgruntled 49 minor or minor 49er. Dadgabbit.
So, Jason.
Yes.
Shout out to Jason, who runs this radio show, Northeastern Ohio Rocks, on, what's the channel again?
It's
WJCU
JCU
88.7 in Cleveland.
Neo Rocks.
Neo.
We've got your rock right here.
He hosted
rock
the show.
All day.
Okay. he hosted the show. On Wednesday, we did Brent Kirby's 10x3 songwriter series at this beautiful place called the Brothers Lounge. They had a wonderful piano, a nice Kwai, I believe it was a Kwai. No, it was a Yamaha.
It was a Yamaha.
Yeah, and I got to play it, which was wonderful. We met some cool songwriters that night. We heard some cool music. Got to play with Matt, which was super fun.
And Matt's second song, I don't know what the name of that song was. He wrote it like a couple weeks ago or whatever.
It's so good.
Oh my goodness! It has gone to the top of my top 10 with a bullet.
We need to get him to maybe record it so next week we can feature it. So then it snowed that night, which was sort of magical too, because Grimm was playing on stage and then it was snowing behind him, and he was singing Thunder, which has this line about snow in it, so it was quite magical. Then we headed to Detroit, and we met the mayor of River Rouge, or you already know him, but I hadn't met him before, Don Dupree, which he's known as the Dupe. And
the Dupe in the morning.
I'm
87.5.
I'm unapologetically going to say that hanging out with you and Dupe after the gig on Thursday night was one of the best nights of my life.
Awesome.
It was so much fun. We traded songs.
Mm-hmm.
We listened to a bunch of the music from Chicago not sung by Peter Cetera, and like
other guy.
Dupe and I know all the words, and Grimm's like, oh my god, and we're like singing at the top of our lungs, and it was just, we had a lot of fun. It was really, really, really good. So it was wonderful. So and then Friday we went to Sweetwater. We met our sales engineers Austin Moss and Mike Orango. We got a VIP tour of the facilities, and it was great. Yeah,
we played from 12 to 1 with, and Tim was our sound engineer.
Yep, Tim was cool.
And it was a cool stage, good sound on stage.
Yep.
Felt really good. And then, we got fed. We got food.
We got lunch. I got 2 Snickers bars out of the deal.
Yeah. She said you could take as many. You should have just taken the whole box.
I should have been like, oh, thanks. Pour them in my purse. I think we may have to take a station break.
Okay, station break, and hold on just one second, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
Just for personal reasons, everybody.
You don't have to tell them that.
Thanks for that. That was just a technical difficulty. Let's just say that. It was a technical difficulty.
Yep.
So Friday we were at Sweetwater.
Yep.
Then we drove to Chicago. We got a parking ticket because we filled out the parking pass. We didn't fill out the parking pass, so screw you, Chicago Parking Authority, for being jerks.
Y'all can bite it.
Jerk faces for not realizing, like, we're out of town. We had the parking pass in there. Anyway, I'm fighting it.
You know what? When the Chicago Transit Authority sends you a correspondence, you should just reply, who dis?
Who dis?
You know?
Who dis? I don't care.
Yeah.
So then we stayed at Steve Dawson and Diane Christensen's house. Steve is a musician. Both of them are musicians in Chicago. They have their band's been around for like 25 or 30 years, called Dolly Varden. Very, very, very famous in Chicago. They started as a band called Stump the Host and then switched to Dolly Varden. I'm going to forget the other 2 members, but I also know that Mark Boletto is one of the guitar players. He's just incredible. All the musicians in that band are amazing. So Steve and Diane had graciously set up a house concert in their art studio in Diane and Steve share a studio. They're not only married, but they also share a studio. She's a visual artist as well as a musician, and Steve has his recording studio out there. And we packed like 30 people in there. It was an amazing show. We played 3 hours of music.
Yep.
The audience hung until the very end.
Yep. Nobody left.
Nobody left, and nobody spoke.
Yeah. Everyone was polite and quiet.
Well, just attentive. Like, it's just one of those shows where, in contrast to like some of the other shows you play, like. On Thursday in Detroit, we had this wonderful place called PJ's Lager House, and the first hour of it was this blissful, beautiful dinner show, and then it turned into a bar, which is nobody's fault. It's just the nature of a bar. Like it's a bar. But I have to give props to PJ's Lager House for having music with no television.
Yeah,
right?
No television.
Like, they have a PA set up, which is wonderful, and they have no television while you're playing, which is like. It's the little things.
It is. And they have a record store in the basement.
Oh, yeah, the record store.
Yeah.
So, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still really riding the high of, like, seeing all these friends, old and new, and it's not a pretty time to be in this country because everything is sort of gray and dead, but it's lit up by the fact that, like, tonight we're going to be in Tulsa, Oklahoma, meeting Christopher Blevins, who has allowed us to come on his Monday night show at the Mercury Lounge. And we listened to one of his songs yesterday, and it just blew me away.
Yep, it's really good.
I'm going to see if maybe he can also get us an MP3 of his song so we can feature it.
Yep, we should definitely feature that. And the thing about, like, the meeting the people in the country as we kind of travel through, like how nice everybody is and kind, and it's not the echo chamber or the bubble of social media that we all feel when you're like, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this is happening. When you actually venture out of your house and out of your neighborhood and out of your town and then out of your county and then out of your state, you start meeting all these people who feel the same way.
Yep.
And it's just like, and you're not commiserating as much as you're reaffirming a sense that there are other Americans out there who are equally worried and concerned and trying to do something about it. And that's the great thing. Like the great thing about Chris, because I completely and totally cold called him for this gig in Tulsa. We were in the booking deal. You want to give yourself a measure of time to, like, a couple of months in advance, sometimes 6 months in advance, to start booking stuff.
Like, we're trying to book the fall right now.
Yeah. And I think there's some June dates that I need to book, which I'm like, I'm looking at the calendar like, we got 3 months to book these dates.
Yeah.
Yikes.
That's what happened today.
Yeah, we're going to work on it. But the thing with Chris is that I full disclosure, I looked at the site and said, okay, well, we need a Monday night, and here's this guy, and I looked at his site and I was like, okay, he's playing here, here, and here. Okay, so he plays every Monday. Looks like it's a regular gig. So in my little lizard brain of booking, I'm like, well, then he probably won't mind if we try to get a 30-minute set. It also probably means that he controls that night for himself. Whatever he wants to do, he could probably do.
Yeah.
So because they trust him. And knowing that Ellen Cherry and I don't suck, it's like, okay, well, I feel really comfortable about approaching him and saying, hey, blah, blah, blah. But also, I'll reciprocate this in Baltimore. I mean, we'll both do whatever we can do to help him in Baltimore or even other parts of the country. Like, I'll send that guy straight to Dupe. I will send that guy straight to Matt Monta.
Yeah.
Or Brian McQuaid or Matt Charette in Boston, whom you haven't met yet. But that's the whole thing. It's like we're building this network of people. And
I'm nodding in agreement.
Yeah. And so when you and the thing is like, then you hear his songs and you're like, oh my God, this guy's thinking.
Yeah.
He's really, really paying attention to stuff, and he's working on like unique combinations of words, and he's expressing a complicated, complex emotion through music, and he just sent me a video of the song.
Yeah, we watched it,
and it sounds awesome. The sound quality is a video phone, whatever, but the song itself and like the way that he's playing the guitar and all this, it's really great. So it's like I'm really looking forward to seeing him, because here's somebody who is going to make me up my game anyhow.
Yep.
When I get there, because like if that's he's just spouting that crap off and texting it to me. Ooh, I better bring my A game. Yeah.
And I love that you said the network, because I think that's part of like the reason that I get so buoyed by touring around is that you think, well, I have a lot of friends in Baltimore who are like-minded and doing their part to figure out what their bodies and minds can do to improve their communities or their family life or their the online community. And then you think, well, we should gather we should get everyone in Baltimore. All these people should be come to Baltimore, but that's not true. Matt Monta needs to stay in Columbus, Ohio, and Dupe needs to stay in Detroit, and they need to be they can stay there because those communities need them. And I don't know, it's like having a little safe haven. Yeah. And the featured artist today is we'll talk about him later, but he's part of that network from way back. And when you were talking about the network, I was like, oh yeah, like this is something that people that are doing what you and I do without label support or tour management or anything like that,
or
all
media
of us
support, like any support,
completely doing it on our own, is like, this is how you do it. This is we are being, unlike the White House, we are being completely transparent about it. Like, we're being transparent about this process because we want you to. I think the reality is more beautiful than the fantasy of it, because there's all these little moments of like. The reality of sitting in Dupe's living room with you guys for 4 hours
Yeah.
and like just drinking Topo Chico mineral water and passing guitars around. I think for music fans that would be really interesting, but if you were watching that on a movie, you'd be like, there's no denouement.
Right.
And
Right.
but it was like totally amazing and brilliant and beautiful and intimate and fun and revelatory, and it was just, yeah, it's like, I don't know, the reality of it is beautiful.
Yeah. And that's how you win a dune buggy and a bike.
That's how you win a dune buggy and a bike.
And a bike.
Everyone, I have to watch Delta Force now because I have watched Roadhouse, but I need to watch Delta Force now so that I can fully integrate into the oh, you just got a Facebook Messenger.
I did.
Okay.
I did. Keep talking.
Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to, the sort of theme that I wanted to talk about today, I was thinking about yesterday. A friend of Grimm and mine hired us because of tour ratting to go right through near his parents' house.
Right through his parents' house. Just drive right through it.
In Illinois. So we are going between Chicago and Tulsa, and he said, I grew up in a town right in between there in Illinois. Would you guys stop at my parents' house on Sunday and play an hour of music for them? So I want to thank him. I don't want to name him. I want to keep his identity private, but he paid us to go to his parents' house, and his mother has Alzheimer's, and his father is starting to show signs of dementia as well. I don't know their ages, but I would guess they're probably in their late 80s, early 90s. Musicians. His father has a master's in music and
woodwinds.
They have a beautiful piano in their home. They had caregivers there who were going to help us if anything, like I wouldn't know. I'm not skilled to go into that type of situation, so I wouldn't know what to handle. But it was one of the most, so far, one of my favorite gigs of the tour because I was tired and feeling a little bit emotional before we even got there. And I started thinking about memory. And like 20 or 30 minutes before we arrived, I started thinking about the way that I remember old romantic relationships and my life so far. And as a diarist, the way that I record it and how that affects my memories. And when I look at photographs, which are, a good prompt for memories. But the thing is that like memory is completely, it's not real. Like your memory is not, it's a real thing to remember, but it's not, it's an amalgam of, did you eat enough food that day? And also, how did your brain record the physical sensation of being in some situation? Or so to be around two people whose memories are deeply affected by a neurological degenerative disease, and what we were there to do is to do something that I've seen work time and time again, which is that music touches something very central to the brain. I don't know if it's the amygdala or just like the lizard part of it, the middle part of the brain is where we respond to music anyway. And that part hasn't degenerated yet in people who are suffering from neurological degenerative diseases. I guess I'm saying that correctly. I don't even know.
Right.
But to watch his mother respond to music and to smile and to tap her foot it was incredibly moving. And our friend texted me later and said, did she enjoy it? And I was like, here's all the signs that I saw.
Right.
That she was alert and paying attention, and I don't know, it really spun me off on talking about memory or thinking about memory and remembering. So that's my essay. That's my impromptu essay.
Your impromptu essay.
It's pretty good, huh?
Yeah, it's very good.
Do you have a response? Is that not what you were expecting?
Who dis? It's not what I was expecting, but I think that if I think about the shows that were really affecting, I mean, that show was it's a very different type of performance. Like, I'm there for a different capacity than I'm normally there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still the capacity of sharing, which is the idea of any show. It's a show and tell, basically. But this one was kind of like a show and remind, because there's something that the degenerative um, uh, dementia, that type of thing can't get to, which is the very heart of our natural rhythms.
Yeah.
I would assume the disruption of natural rhythms happens, at the very, 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 very end of the disease. But while you're going through it, that's probably the last thing that's going to go, because it is so deeply innate in all of us.
Mm-hmm.
You can just take a look at the converse of small children. Toddlers when toddlers when are around live music. Although I dislike small children very, very much, and I don't want their sticky, gummy little mitts all over my stuff. And
how do you really feel?
I really dislike being around small children. But you watch them play, and they'll come up, and they will do their version of dancing.
Yep.
And even babies that are barely learning how to walk, they'll do that little squat bounce thing that they do.
Well, they respond to tone and rhythm. Yeah.
And they've never been taught that.
No.
It's just always there. And I think a lot of ways that the music, or at least what was being responded to, was that very innate basic instinct of music and rhythm.
It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
It was really beautiful.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was fun to play, but it was also humbling to watch that. And nothing makes you think more about your own mortality than being around people who are in the end stages of where they are.
Yeah. And
you think about they've been married for
60 years. Probably.
60 years.
Longer.
And we saw their wedding pictures,
yeah.
and we saw pictures of our friend when he was an awkward teenager before he became an awkward adult. So you could definitely see that there was no real change in that pathway. Sorry, bro. Not sorry, bro. But yeah, it felt really. Even the caretakers had friends come over.
Yep.
To watch. And then you see that this couple is surrounded by people who really love them and people who care about them, even though they're technically just caretakers. There was a lot of love.
Yeah, one of the caretakers was filming us and sending it to one of their daughters, and keeping them posted on how it was going. And even though their 9 children are far away and none of them live in Illinois or nearby. They're still keeping in touch, and that I know that as a person who lives far away from my parents, I think about that all the time. How do you, I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to get into all of that. It was just a beautiful thing. The caretakers were amazing. They were really very caring, loving people, and I'm really happy to have just had the experience, just to be a part of it. I know how music is healing for me. And I hear other people over the years that when they hear music, or hear my music specifically, they'll say, this thing really helped me.
Yeah.
And that is such a personal thing for them to say, because I can't possibly understand the scope of how that helped them.
Right.
But to be able to see somebody who is responding, like his mother, just responding to the music in real time, it felt really oh, this was worth the drive.
Yeah. Sure.
Definitely.
And it was an early show too. But it's I think those are. It kind of goes back to that thing we're talking about with a network. These folks were not in our network, but there was somebody who is in our network who wanted us to do something for him.
Yeah.
And for his parents, because this guy and who's out in D.C., this friend of ours, he runs a business that helps to support me for certain. There was a whole bunch of mortgages that would not have been, mortgage payments that would not have been paid unless I had been working for that guy. But also he's very kind and he's very helpful and wants to contribute. And while he might not be contributing in the musical output, he's contributing in a way that allows musical output to happen.
Yep, totally.
And that's always kind of cool to have. So I'm going to circle this around into our featured guest.
Okay, cool.
Because I can't believe I forgot this. But the only reason that I know him is through you.
Yeah. You didn't remember that?
I did not remember that for a
I knew him
long
first.
time. You did. Well, and this is how FOM came to be as well. Because he
knows Burr.
He knows Burr. And
he did 2004 FOM, didn't he?
I don't think he ever did FOM. It was Matt Hopper who was traveling with him. Because they did the Death of a Day Job tour.
So the person we're talking about is Andrew Norsworthy.
Yes.
Who was in a band called Constant Malachi with a, I guess I could say boyfriend. We dated for a brief period of time. My friend Jeremy Boyd, who I haven't talked to in decades. These two dudes from Alaska. One of them ends up at my college in Arkansas briefly, and we kept in touch. And then I end up meeting Andrew Norsworthy through Jeremy because they were bandmates. They stopped playing together because Jeremy moved back to Alaska, I think. But Andrew kept going for a long time. I think he's still playing music.
He's still playing music.
Yeah.
He's out in Seattle now.
He's out in Seattle. And so, go ahead and tell So I knew Andrew from, this would have been in the late 90s when I met Andrew. Because at that point, Jeremy had moved and gone to school with Andrew at Baylor University in Texas. Mm-hmm. So I went down to visit Jeremy and met Andrew.
And then had to be 2004.
Okay.
All this stuff happens to me in 2004. As far as I can tell, it's 2004. It was the fall of 2004, and I had received either a phone call or an email from Andrew Norsworthy that said, "Hey, I'm friends with Ellen Cherry. Blah blah blah. She said that you might be able to hook me up with a show."
Didn't you put them up at the pie shop?
I put them. They played at the pie shop, and then they played over at Mum's, and they stayed at Dave Hill's house. Now, Dave Hill is friends with Andrew. Dave Hill lives out in Seattle now, and
network.
That was actually the very beginnings of my networking career in Baltimore, as I became somebody who helps people get shows and arranges things and lets people stay at their place or figures that stuff out.
Yeah.
It's really funny. I hadn't thought about that in forever. And those guys showed up, and we did the pie shop on Fleet Street. It was the old pie shop. And then we boogied on over to Federal Hill.
Well, that's where the pastry organ was.
The pastry organ, yeah. That was
on Fleet Street.
It was on Fleet Street, and I can't remember. I think that was my organ.
It was your organ, but it was in the basement, wasn't it?
No, it was on the first floor.
And I made a comment about, it's probably full of pastries.
Yeah, it's full of pastries. Yeah, it's just good. I was working at the pie shop at the time, too.
Oh, my God. We've got a million lives.
A million?
We've got a million lives,
well, no, you know what? I wasn't working at the pie shop at that time, but I didn't work at the pie shop until a year later. But
anyway,
anyhow.
You went over to Mum's.
So we went over to Mum's, and that's where... if you've never been to Mum's in Baltimore, they have this thing called Evil, which is spelled Evel, and
it's a Lithuanian liqueur,
Viticus,
made from honey.
Yeah, and
it's the only time that I've ever seen Grimm lay like a beetle on his back, smashed out of his mind. Sorry, you did it again in Las Vegas.
Did I? Oh, I did. Yeah.
I have pictures of that, and I have a memory of you laying on the.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Mum's.
From what I understand, that memory isn't real.
That's right. So, it's a fantasy.
It's a fantasy. So now a big shout out for the network is Brian Whitcomb, who is the bar manager and the booking agent for Mum's. He books all the stuff, and whenever I have a show come through, he will, if the date's open and I can have it. Is
he a fiddler?
No, he's a guitarist.
Okay, there's another Brian Whitcomb who plays with the old part of town.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I thought you were always talking
about.
There
are two Whitcombs?
Two Brian Whitcombs.
Whoa.
Yeah, crazy.
So whenever you go to Mum's, you can get a shot of Evil.
For free.
Well, with when you're playing.
Gotcha.
You know, it's usually you pour some easy.
In lieu of payment.
Now,
you can either get paid or you can get a shot of evil.
Yeah. Woo. Well, and the thing about evil is that it's called evil because it's very warming. It's kind of a spiced honey type of flavor type of thing, and it's
so good.
It's really good, but you really only want one shot because you gotta wait a minute, and it tastes so good. You're like, this thing's nothing, and you're like, I'm gonna do another one of these. This is nothing. I'm gonna do another, and then you're laying on the floor of Mum's, like speaking in tongues. So Matt Hopper does a shot. And he's like, this is really good. And he orders a second one, and I said, whoa.
Whoa, Matt Hopper.
You want to slow down? He's like, man, I got this. I think he did like 5 shots of evil.
Oh my gosh.
And the next day they were scraping his brain off of his cranium. It was really funny to see him the next day, because I went home and I went to sleep or whatever, and I got up in the morning. I drove down because I was going to meet up with those guys, but I wanted to see them before they left, and because it was my first real booking in Baltimore, so I was doing this whole I care about you thing. So I stop over there, and Matt looked like an extra from The Walking Dead. It was really funny. So, but that's how I got to know Andrew Norsworthy, and he gave me some discs, and I've played some shows with him out in Seattle and stuff like that, and he's hooked me up with some shows out there. And
but yesterday we were driving along listening to mostly Chicago, the other guy from Chicago. No, we were listening to a bunch of stuff. We were listening to
Pump Up the Jams,
Pump It Up while your feet are thumping.
Get your booty on the dance floor or something.
I want a place to stay. Get your booty on the floor tonight. Make my day. That song. This is Grimm mixing this mix. He also put Borderline from Madonna in there, which I knew in a minute. I was just like, we're going to be best friends forever.
That was the remix version.
It was the remix version.
Borderline, line.
There's a lot of delay and panning. Yep. So we were listening along.
Isn't there always? That reminds me of my prom. A lot of delay, a lot of panning.
I don't even know what kind of sex act panning is.
Well, let's just say you're searching for gold. You're letting materials sluice through other mesh-like things. How's that?
I don't like where this is going.
How's that,
sir?
Well, you gotta dig to the bottom.
So the pattern has been that the person in the passenger seat is generally DJing, and so yesterday, because of our Why Aren't You Famous GoFundMe page, we can afford to eat not at Taco Bell for every meal. So I said, let's go get a steak at the Texas Roadhouse.
Woo!
And because they have affordable and tasty steaks. And thank you for being our sponsor. Just kidding. You're not a sponsor, but you could be. So we were driving there, and he pops up this song from Andrew Norsworthy, and I was like, oh, man, I haven't listened to this song in like 5 years, and it's a perfect song for being on the road. Yep. So here you go. We're going to play for you Andrew Norsworthy's Building a Road. Are we ready? Or are we going to be like...
We're going to be ready. The fidelity is not going to be that great because we don't have a stereo 1/8-inch cable to whatever. So you just got to deal with this, ladies and gentlemen, but... use your imaginations.
And we're going to be listening to it, too. So here's Andrew Norsworthy from his album Stateside.
Yep. Maybe.
Hold tight.
Hold tight here. Ooh, that's all right. There we go.
Say good luck, but save the rest of it. Luck is all I'm gonna need. I've got gas for the truck and some rings that I keep on a little silver rug. One from my mother, one from my sister, one from this girl in Mexico. They're building a road that wraps around this town. They build and they go, they never do slow down. Na 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 na. kissing ass to benefactors. I'll trade charity any day for clarity. I drove my last car off the edge of a year. Funny way of getting clear, I know. They're building a road, a constellation bright of Texaco stars for cars that choke the night. Na, 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 na. Oh. Na, 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 I came along, family, huddled round a little roadside cross. Flowers weeping from their arms, withered by my exhaust. The darkening is happening, the hungry highway moans. Everything is everything, each petal fell alone. On a road that keeps this country small, and nobody knows where each one goes at all. But they're building a road to make that money flow. Soon there'll be no more place for a boy like you to go. Na, 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 na. Oh. Na, 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 na.
So that was Andrew Norsworthy with Building a Road from his album Stateside, and I highly recommend that you look it up. We were playing it off of Spotify, but you can surely...
You can find it on iTunes, definitely.
Find it on iTunes where you can hear a much more higher fidelity quality version of it, and I encourage you to do so.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we should probably wrap it up because we need to edit this, post it. We got to hit the road in an hour.
Yep.
We are doing our personal podcasting today for our supporters. I think we have like 10 or 14 of them to do. We're going to be doing little 5 or 10 minute shout outs. Excuse me. Coffee's coming back up. And then tonight we're headed to the Mercury Lounge in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tomorrow we are in Oklahoma City at Joe's Addiction, which is going to be really cool. Wednesday night I need to get my Hendrix College people. This is the other thing that is so hard about promoting a tour is that like while you're on the road you're thinking like I just want to get some sleep, but there's a lot of promotion to be done, so I'm going to be doing that for the next hour as well. And we just are so grateful to see everybody and to have this opportunity. This is like the best tour ever.
It is the best tour ever.
Yeah.
This is the best tour ever. It will go down in my memory, my real memory, my memory that exists for as long as I exist, as the best tour ever.
All right.
I'm just saying.
So.
All right.
We will be podcasting again later in the week and posting another one probably next Monday. Hopefully, that's the plan.
Yep.
We are thinking of shifting our Baltimore date from March 24th to March 25th because I think there's a big march.
Yes.
For the students' lives, protesting and encouraging gun control.
Right. Common
sense gun control legislation.
Yep.
So we may be switching that, but we'll keep you posted and I'll post stuff on the website, whyaren'tyoufamous.org. Oh, speaking of which, let's just get this out of the way.
Okay.
I need money to eat and live indoors. And you can pay me by subscribing to my subscription service, which I gotta work on. Yikes.
Yeah.
We gotta find some time. Maybe that's what we'll be doing on Saturday if we can chill this weekend.
Yeah.
We'll see. At ellencherry.bandcamp.com, and my website is ellencherry.com. What about you?
Oh, you can find all my stuff at junestar.bandcamp.com and also junestar.com. I have a subscription service, $5 a month. I am completely up to date with all my stuff, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I'm posting a song a week. This year I'm doing 52 public domain songs. Last year I did 52 original tunes, and next year I'll be doing another 52 original tunes, because that's actually a lot easier than doing public domain songs.
Sorry, I just freaked out because I was like, where's my guitar? And then I realized, like, I didn't bring it in, you brought it in.
I brought it in.
So
yes.
it's like,
So
whoa, I just freaked out a little.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's all about Ellen Cherry. It's all about her. So there you
Having
have
technical difficulties and and worrying about my guitar. Okay, so we'll...
Okay.
Okay, we'll see you out on the road.
Nice. All right. See you guys.